The Department of Homeland Security. What does that name even mean to you today? Well, in this explainer, we're digging into how an agency created to prevent another 9/11 found itself right at the heart of a really bitter national debate. We're going to explore its chaotic origins, its recent and pretty dramatic transformation, and the tough questions now being asked about its very purpose.
To really get a handle on the DHS of today, our source material takes us to a specific flashpoint, these widespread protests in Minnesota. This one event kind of became a microcosm for all the larger controversies swirling around the agency.
You can just hear the raw emotion in that, right? This quote, captured in the heat of the moment, wasn't just about some local incident. No, it gave voice to a frustration that echoed across the country, this feeling that something fundamental had gone really wrong. And for a lot of people, the focus of that frustration was the Department of Homeland Security. So this brings us to the core puzzle of the whole story. How on earth did an agency born from the ashes of 9/11, created to fight terrorism, become so tangled up in the politics of immigration? To find the answer, we have to rewind. We've got to go back to its creation. You see, the story of today's DHS is really rooted in its, well, kind of chaotic birth. To really grasp the challenges it faces now, you have to understand the pressures and the politics that shaped it right from day one. In the aftermath of 9/11, the mission seemed crystal clear. Never again. DHS was created to be the central hub. The one place where all the threads of national security information could be woven together to stop the next attack. The core idea was simple: connect the dots. But the way it was formed was, as the source describes it, hasty. It basically merged 22 different and often totally disconnected federal agencies. I mean, everything from the Secret Service and the Coast Guard to, believe it or not, animal disease researchers, all jammed under one roof. And if managing 22 agencies wasn't hard enough, just look at the oversight. This new mega department was accountable to nearly 100 different congressional committees. Even the chair of the 9/11 Commission, the very group that recommended its creation, called the result exactly what it was: chaos. Okay, so let's fast forward to the agency's modern era, which is where a really dramatic shift happened. New leadership, backed by a totally unprecedented surge in funding, would fundamentally change the agency's mission and its priorities. During the Trump administration, the source material argues that DHS went through a seismic shift. Its vast resources were pointed squarely and more heavily than ever before toward one specific area: immigration enforcement. The scale of this shift is just staggering. Just one of its agencies, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, received an additional $75 billion. That single infusion of cash tripled its annual budget.
And to put that number into perspective, think about this. ICE's budget, almost overnight, became comparable to the entire military spending of our neighbor, Canada. So how do you spend all that money and rapidly expand your agent count? Well, the source states, DHS significantly lowered its recruitment and training standards. Requirements for age and even Spanish language proficiency were dropped, and the training period was condensed. And the results were pretty startling, with high failure rates on basic fitness and even open-book written exams.
And this wasn't just an observation from outside critics. The source points out that even former agency leaders, like this former acting director of ICE, publicly expressed some deep concerns about the quality and motivation of this new wave of hires. So this massive influx of cash for immigration enforcement didn't just come from nowhere. It was diverted from other critical national security functions. And as the source material argues, this created a whole new set of risks. According to one estimate that's cited in the source, there was this massive reallocation of people. We're talking agents from the FBI, DEA, and ATF being reassigned from their regular duties, investigating things like drug trafficking and violent gangs, to go assist with deportation operations. This led security experts, including this former DHS intelligence official, to issue some pretty stark warnings. They argued that criminal organizations were without a doubt watching these shifts and looking for ways to exploit the resulting gaps in enforcement. And the resource drain wasn't just impacting other law enforcement agencies. Inside DHS itself, agencies like CISA, which is responsible for cybersecurity, and FEMA, our nation's disaster response agency, were reportedly starved of staff and funding, facing huge personnel losses and delays in delivering aid. So this whole journey through the DHS's past and present, it leads us to a critical crossroads. The source material really forces us to ask some fundamental questions about the agency's purpose, its future, and whether it's truly making the homeland more secure. The analysis we're drawing from outlines several potential paths for reform.
These range from immediate legislative actions like repealing that funding surge to much more radical, long-term solutions like abolishing ICE or completely redesigning DHS from scratch.
But the source posits that just changing the agency might not be enough. It argues that the real root of the issue lies in the nation's immigration laws themselves, the laws that provide the legal framework that allows these enforcement actions to happen in the first place.
And so, we're left with a final, really critical question. In a world of all these competing threats, from cyber attacks and natural disasters to terrorism and border security, what does it truly mean to secure the homeland? The answer isn't just about policy. It's about our priorities as a nation and what we believe truly keeps us safe.